We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
We're hanging out with the Boots Man again, Mr. Bootsy. How you doing?
I'm doing well, as always. Happy to be here, talking about music.
Cool. You ready to do another music night with Bootsy, I think?
It's every night. Every night
is music night with Bootsy.
That almost sounds like a song. Please name your firstborn son, Bootsy.
That's right. That is a lyric that I wrote.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. My favorite Bootsy Spankins song, incidentally.
Yeah. How to tell you what? You said
He was going on about it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's news to me. Why don't we make this about me instead of
you want to do that? Yeah, no, terrific. So if people don't know, you should check him out on Bandcamp.
Right.
He's got his records on there.
SoundCloud, iTunes, all that stuff. YouTube.
Really cool stuff. And a Christmas album.
Yes, you have to get the Christmas album.
And a Christmas album.
As Bootsy knows, it plays in our house every... My kids have grown up listening to the Bootsy Christmas album.
That is
a part of their lives. Yeah.
We have some music behind us.
Yes, plenty of it. This is all your collection. This is all Eric's collection here. And I think, Tig, I want you to do the honors and pick a...
Let's find us something to talk about.
Right.
I gotta put wheels on this chair.
Let's give him something to talk about. Bonnie Raitt, let's give him something. I thought she was saying Taco Bell at the end of it. Let's give him something like Taco Bell.
Alright, so Tig just dumped a bunch of stuff in front of us. What did you dump?
Show him. And I love that. That's probably my favorite song.
This bothers me that it says Smashing Pumpkins.
Because you want the?
Because it's the Smashing Pumpkins.
See, to me, it bothers me when it's the.
But it is the. They're not smashing pumpkins. They're the Smashing Pumpkins.
That's. It has actually changed over the years.
Did they change because everyone was calling them Smashing Pumpkins?
It has gone back and forth.
This is a good argument.
All right, look. When I got
Let me see Gish.
When I got into them,
give me Gish.
Give me Gish.
Give me the Gish.
I discovered them with Lull, the Lully P. And again, Smashing Pumpkins.
Right.
On the side, Smashing
Where's
Pumpkins.
Gish?
Right here.
Okay.
Gish. What is it? Smashing Pumpkins. Spine. Smashing Pumpkins. Siamese Dream. Smashing.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Smashing Pumpkins. Smashing Pumpkins.
Wow, I didn't realize. At that point, I thought it was the.
It wasn't until Melancholy that they became the.
See, I thought it was backwards. I thought they were called the Smashing Pumpkins from the beginning and then dropped the because everyone was calling them Smashing
Again, here's
Pumpkins.
the Sherbrooke single. Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
Not the Smashing Pumpkins.
The Smashing Pumpkins. Especially Gish. I always loved this. Always loved this.
Tell us about this album. This is before Siamese Dream, which is what really put them on the map. Right.
But
so you must have got into that after Siamese Dream, right? You must have revisited that album.
No, I heard what is it? What's the one song off?
It's probably either I Am One or Siva. It was probably I Am One.
Rhinoceros is the slow one.
Okay.
That song. But I Am One too, as well. My friend, who was good for getting hold music before most people heard it, I got to hear it before they became popular, and I was blown away.
Right.
And but my thing with them is eventually I kind of fell out with them because they're. What was it? No, not even after Siamese. No, I guess it was after that.
Adore?
Probably Adore. Which I think is woefully underrated, I think.
My friend Samantha, her favorite album of all time.
I think it's more...
I think it's well-earned. I think it's a terrific record. Yeah. But
I think it was just more of Billy Corgan's...
Well, yeah, he's
He's tough to, you got to take him with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Especially his antics live.
I was going to say, and then I went to see him, that was probably the downfalls. I went to see them live, and I was very unimpressed with seeing them live. It was very disappointing.
Early on, after they broke, when they got big, those first few years when they got big, they were not a good live band.
Yeah.
Okay. They really weren't. They didn't have a great sound live.
You couldn't hear him live very well. His voice wasn't very strong.
Where did you see them?
I think the Art Center.
Okay.
And because the initial
was pretty big at that point.
The first couple of records, Gish and Siamese Dream especially, they're sonically dense as hell. I mean, Siamese Dream is just a legendarily dense
great
record. So
the James Iha, sorry to interrupt. James Iha's guitar had all that crunch to it, which probably the biggest part of the production, I would say.
Yeah, and so live, like you don't get to hear it sounds very thin.
Right.
Because of that, because the production was so layered. They actually kind of made a mistake. Not a mistake, because it's a brilliant record. Siamese Dream is actually one of my favorite records of all time, so I'm glad that you dragged it out. but Corgan was really influenced during the Gish and Siamese Dream era by the shoegaze bands, especially My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah.
And Kevin Shields of My Bloody Valentine had sort of pioneered these techniques that made the music sound incredibly dense. But the thing is, Kevin Shields, it was trickery. It sounded like he was layering 10 or 12 layers of guitar, and in fact he wasn't. Most of the time on the record, it was one guitar, two guitars, and that was it. Yeah. So it sounded dense, but it was actually very natural. It was just him and what he was doing with the whammy bar and one specific effect pedal that he tended to use. It's reverse reverb, incidentally, for any music geeks out there. If you use a reverse reverb pedal and you rock on the bar, you can develop the My Bloody Valentine sound.
Creates all that depth to the guitar.
Yeah.
For sure, man.
And so, but Corgan did that by layering literally 30 or 40 tracks of guitar. So when they played live,
I didn't know that, actually. I didn't know that about the production behind Smash Mountains. Really, that many guitar tracks?
There are some songs, Geek USA, for instance, where like he's said like, yeah, there's upwards of 50 tracks of guitar on that song.
I didn't know that.
Not Geek USA. Silverfly, where it's just track after track after track after track of guitar to get that bigness, and it wasn't. It sounds great on the record, but live it doesn't translate, and that's I think why.
This goes. I think Cherub Rock is one of the great for the decade at least. One of the great opening tracks of any album.
Oh, absolutely. It is. When I get any sort of new stereo system or new speakers or new sound system or something like that, there's usually a handful of songs that I will test it with.
Okay, that makes sense.
Cherub Rock is one of them.
That's
because
awesome. It's rock and roll now.
Because when the first the drums start to roll in, but then when that bass line rolls in,
right.
You boom boom boom, and then then the guitar, the fuzzy guitars come in and like
everything.
It's such a sonically big song.
Oh, that's huge, right? To open the album, just incredible,
Yeah.
So what is Gish is your favorite album by them?
Yeah. Probably more. I mean, they have greater albums.
Right.
But
that's
Gish is the one that
right.
sticks with me forever.
Sure.
Gish has my favorite song by them too, and yeah. But so what sticks with you about it?
I guess. I guess just when it came out, it was just one of those things that stuck with me. Their sound. I feel like
bare bones kind of.
Yeah, like I don't even know how you explain this, but that sound very much reminds me. Gish reminds me of how I felt in the '90s when grunge first hit.
Mm-hmm.
The excitement of it, you mean?
Yeah, and the gray cloud of it. Does that make any sense? The sort of feeling of when grunge hit and what age I was, I guess, and like
the idea that you're listening to hard rock and roll, but it's hard rock and roll that doesn't sound like the rock and roll that we were listening to before.
Yeah, right before. Yeah, exactly.
Because prior to that, the loud rock music that we listened to was metal. It was always metal, something metal related. Whether it was hair metal or actual metal.
To have guitars to sound like that had it been like metal. There was no pop that had like guitars that dirty or that heavy or anything.
Right.
Yeah, it was very. It was.
It wasn't Aerosmith. It wasn't it wasn't Iron Maiden. It was something. It rocked just as hard.
Right.
But it was.
It wasn't as melodic either back then. Like this is kind of taking that heaviness of metal, bringing it into the forefront of popular music with really catchy melodies and with song structures and lyrics that conveyed kind of emotions that weren't really present in music.
I think that's what it was. It was there was more of an emotional attachment to that than any of the music that I was listening to at the time.
Yeah. One of the things I like about some of these records, like that you're pointing out Gish and some of the other records at that time, it's like lyrically they were kind of ambiguous. So you could fill in the blanks for yourself, whatever was important for you. So this and Nevermind and some of those Jane's Addiction records, which came before all this stuff, actually. Sure. The Pearl Jam records,
Pixies as well.
Pixies.
That's the thing. That's the thing. One of my favorite bands is Jane's Addiction. Yeah. So that Gish is very similar.
Yeah, I can see that, definitely.
So when Gish came out, it was in the same wheelhouse.
Yes. I didn't think of that, but yeah, you're right. You're totally right. I love Jane's Addiction too. I came at that age too. I started listening to them when I was pretty young, and it was just new and exciting.
Yeah, and they came out pretty early in comparison. Like, you don't realize
they're an 80s band.
Right. Like, you don't think about the fact that, you're listening to Metallica and Guns N' Roses, but Jane's Addiction was...
I still remember the first moment I heard Jane's Addiction. And it was in the like mid to late 80s. It was Nothing Shocking.
It was like 88, right?
I think Nothing Shocking was either 87 or 88, and Ritual was 88 or 89.
90 Ritual.
Was it 90? Oh, maybe it was 90? Okay. And hearing Ted Just Admit It.
Yeah. That song.
And I'd walked into the room, and Ted Just Admit It was being played, and it was at the peak of that song when the guitar is doing this slightly off, like dissonant, and Perry is just screaming "Sex is violent" over and over.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, what the hell is this? And it was like a life-changing moment. Sure. Like, this is. I'm just a teenager, and I think I'm offended by this. I think it makes me feel wrong, and I absolutely fell in love with that band after that. And so to go back to you dragging this out, when Pumpkins came out, it latched into some of that, because just like Jane's Addiction, Pumpkins took aspect of like Zeppelin influenced metal, but they did it in a different way than all the metal bands were doing.
Right.
Because I feel like you can hear Zeppelin in early Pumpkins, and I think you can hear Zeppelin in early, or there's no such thing as early Jane's Addiction, all Jane's Addiction. I mean, I guess they did eventually come back together and record new stuff, but you can't count it.
Right.
I don't.
No, I don't.
But I feel like I think you can hear that sort of Zeppelin and like mid to late 70s Sabbath in those bands.
Yeah, right.
But they were doing it in a completely different way.
Of course, yeah. And his vocals were very different from any other lead singer at that point, too. I mean, there were a lot. You remember, even 10 years later, 15 years later, even today, I'm sure, you can listen to like a rock band now, and the lead singer's trying their best to sound like Eddie Vedder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So many. The guy from Creed, for God's sake, it was like Eddie Vedder ripoff, and you hear it, like, Billy Corgan, I've never heard anyone who sounded like him. I know a lot of people are turned off by his vocals. Yeah. Very nasally, and,
but that's what M. Perry Farrell was.
Oh, of course, right.
The same.
Yeah, shriek, big shriek.
So that's, the different components in Smashing Pumpkins really made something unique. I mean, James Iha, that's how you pronounce it, right? Iha was the tones that he would get on the distorted guitar are just they've aged well. I think they still
Oh, I agree. For me, the big component of Pumpkins that really made Pumpkins what they were at their best and gelled them is Jimmy Chamberlin, the drummer.
The drummer, right?
Who was a jazz-influenced drummer. He took jazz and he brought it into hard rock, and it gives their music a motion, a movement to that isn't necessarily present in a lot of riff rock. But that's their first 3 records. That's essentially what it was. It was riff rock,
right?
Which is cool. That's nothing wrong with that. But that's what it was. Yeah. But there's dynamics to it that
oh yeah, sure. I mean, when I talked about Cherub Rock, what's the first thing I did? I started playing the drums,
Yeah.
And I mentioned in an earlier episode, Tonight, the drums on that are amazing.
Yeah.
That,
Oh, yeah, just that building rolls over and over.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. That's a whole song. That's, incredible.
Which is also another great... It still stands. You could still listen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even 1979 is great as well. Other single. And the other, they had a few, Zero and Bullet with Butterfly Wings.
1979, probably like one of their top 3-ish or so greatest songs.
Yep.
And I think I don't like to put it this way because it gives me way too much credit. But as a person who enjoys writing songs, perhaps you will or will not agree, but for me, right, anyone who writes songs, you have those songs where you hear and you think like, I wish I had written that, or like, that's a song that I would have liked to have
by
written.
somebody else, of course. Yeah,
and 1979 is one of those songs to me, like when I hear it, I can almost hear like the part of it where, oh yeah, okay, like I get it. And shit, I should have written that song.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's also way better than anything I could have written myself. And that's one of those songs for
it's
for
a
me.
beautiful, beautiful song, and the music video was awesome for that as well.
Yeah.
I remember that. That's right.
So if we're on Pumpkins, and possibly we'll, maybe this will cap our Pumpkins episode or something like that. Give me like a top 3 Pumpkins song. And I'll throw it to Boots. I'll throw it to you first, and then Tig, and maybe I'll finish it off because I know mine pretty easy.
Well, I was never into them really. I had the 2 albums. I just recently bought a Door, but within a year. I only had. I'm not familiar with Gish. I only had Siamese Dream and Melancholy. 3 for me. Obviously, Cherub Rock. I think that song just absolutely kicks ass. The song off of Door, the For Sheila, is that the
To Sheila, yeah.
To Sheila, the opening track. I think I got the title wrong. The beautiful. I'm new to it. Beautiful, gorgeous song. To open up an album is kind of ballsy in itself as well. Something slow.
Yeah, I agree.
Like that, and then the
So
single.
sparse.
The single is the track after that,
Right,
right?
yeah, How Door.
Which is very dark, and that's a good song. Good music video too. I have to. It's just such a.
That's what's tough. It's like when you...
We didn't even mention Disarm too. That was a big.
You have to almost hear them again, because then you fall back in love with the ones that you. Oh my god, I forgot this.
That's
song.
true. Yeah,
These are. I really like the hard songs on disc 1 here, where it's more of a. If I recall, I haven't listened to this a long time. The first disc I think is harder, heavier.
Yeah.
The second disc is right. I really liked the music on the first disc, but I remember not really liking the lyrics that much. I thought they were very thin.
Oh, no, they definitely were.
Okay.
Like Zero, which was one of their big hits.
Yeah.
And really, I don't know. There to me, there's some very teenage lyrics on
there.
Yeah.
I remember that. Right.
God is empty, just like me. It's like, oh, yeah.
It's like a 15-year-old girl writing a poem.
Yeah, it's like, come on, Billy.
Yeah, I felt that way about the lyrics, and so I really have to go. I've been talking about it all night, but tonight, I think I love it. Yeah. Number 3 for me.
Good tune.
Yeah, I love it. It pumps me up. Like those drums, just like
Yeah.
strings and stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome,
And to me, I'm a sucker for string sections and rock bands.
Yeah, sure.
I'm a big sucker for that.
Yeah.
It's cheap. It's easy.
And pull the heartstrings real easy.
But for me, it almost always works.
Right. Bittersweet Symphony by the Verb.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
Perfect example, I think.
Yeah.
The fade in of the loop.
Tiggy tig tig tig.
Come on, Tiggy. You
It's
brought
just
him up.
tough. No, it's just tough because like a 3. I don't. Okay. Tonight.
Okay.
Good
Because
choice.
I mean,
I love it as well. All right.
and then I have to say I Am One, because that's the first song that and Rhinoceros.
Killer drum beat to open it up. Yeah, Rhinoceros. Yeah, no, all cool picks.
Eric's gonna pull out the deep cuts now.
I mean, I don't know about that, but Snail from Gish.
Okay.
I just
not really familiar with the album. So, right.
super uplifting, super simple song.
Okay.
Mostly like one chord being strummed throughout the entire thing, but it's
so good.
Yeah.
incredibly uplifting. That song, like when the big chords come in, it's huge. Love it, absolutely love it. Probably Snail, Untitled. That's the name of it, is Untitled. And it was I think it was first released just as a radio single, and I think it's ended up on maybe that. I think it's on that. Is it the greatest hits or something like that they call?
Rotten Apples, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just a good like.
Right.
It's meant to be like a culmination of their initial era before they broke up for the first time.
Okay.
And then Drown, which is the song from the single soundtrack.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a great song on its own, but for me, the thing that makes that song is there's like a 4 or 5 minute feedback outro where it's just guitar feedback for 4 or 5 minutes. And believe it or not, I think it's some of the most beautiful music ever put to record, and it's one of the things that changed what I listen to and what I now create.
Yeah.
My own music is highly influenced by that, because when I listen to that, I had already been sort of doing that with my own guitar, like, you know, my bedroom, like making a racket and liking the way it sounded. But I was like, you know, this is awful. Yeah. And then I heard that on a record, and I was like, wait, you can actually do that
and pull it off, right?
And it's, you know,
I'm going to say that I listened to a lot of that stuff when I was writing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's awesome. That's cool. That's flattering. Yeah, I'd like.
It was very good for writing spacey.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you zone out.
Yeah.
So that's my three Big Pumpkins tracks. But Snail, Untitled, and Drown. Drown is huge for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great conversation as always. Good decision to pull out the pumps.
Cool.
Make sure you go home with Gish.
Yeah, sure, oh, definitely.
There you go.
Yeah, but I look forward to the next conversation that we have.
Absolutely.
About music.
Hopefully you'll come back up again to.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll be wearing the same exact.
Yeah,
clothes,
hopefully I'll make sure to wear the same shirt.
I'll try and do the same then.
I'm gonna try to remember to have the same beer and drink it to this point.
I'll leave it there for you. Perfect. Thank you all for listening. Good night. Good luck.
Good night.
All right.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.